But what's awesome about that is we went through, I was able to take a monthly income off of that, but when we turned around and sold it, we doubled our money from 50 to 100 grand right back into that retirement plan.
Wow.
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
It really is. It really is. And so here, I want to throw this out, and maybe you could explain a little better, which I'm sure you can than I can. We've got somebody listening to this program right now. They have a retirement plan. They're like, man, I'd love to learn how to do that. What's their first step? All right, welcome back to our next episode. I'm excited about this one.
As am I.
Yeah, we I don't know if you watched our last one, but we're going to talk about investing your retirement plan, or taking your retirement plan and making it self-directed, and making a self-directed Roth IRA. Now I want you to explain to me what's the difference between a retirement plan, a Roth, and a Roth IRA. I know you probably could explain it better than most.
Yeah, no, I love diving into the details. So you have a regular IRA, and then you have Roth IRAs, and you have a couple of different types. You have IRA, 401k, Roth IRA, Roth 401k, SEP, HSA, and so you have all of these different types of retirement type accounts. You have the Coverdell education account, and all of these have different features for retirement, for education, for healthcare, and it's to be able to preserve money and do it in an account that can be, not taxed in some scenarios on the back end, or it can be not taxed on the front end, but it'll be taxed coming out. And so the details, I think what we really want to do is just dive into, I think, one strategy today, and the Roth IRA is the one that I want to dive into.
So what is it about the Roth IRA that makes it the best for being self-directed? And maybe we need to talk about self-directed first before we talk about maybe the Roth IRA, or however you would like to go with it.
Yeah, so the Roth IRA is really cool because you put $6,500 as the allotment that you can put in there this year.
That's per year, per individual, right?
Per year, per individual. So $6,500 you can put in there, you can invest in that, but it has to be earned income, that you've been able to earn income and you've been taxed on that income, and now you're putting that into the Roth IRA for it to never be taxed ever again. And now there's a couple of nuances and things of like, if you have certain types of income that are coming in, but for the most part, like, you're putting it in there and you're just letting it ride. Or some people will do like day trading, and they'll, be able to go and make a big swing and turn 6,500 into 8,500 or 85,000. And I don't know how to do that, but there's a really cool strategy there, is that you're putting in taxed dollars so that they'll never be taxed ever again. And
which is what we want, because the rate we're getting taxed now, who knows what it's going to be 10, 20, 30 years from now.
Yeah, I mean, if I were to guesstimate, everything else is going up. I mean, I would imagine that Uncle Sam wants a little bit more of the pie too.
Yep.
And so as we estimate that, the Roth IRA is, more or less protected from that inflation of tax liabilities. So there's a couple of cool strategies behind that. And so we'll talk about the Roth IRA. And there's going to be many similarities between the regular Roth, the regular 401k, the Roth 401k, the HSA, and the Coverdell type accounts. But the Roth IRA specifically, we'll just dive into some of the details. And I'm going to use my iPad just because I think that there's some cool strategies that I just need to kind of just write it out.
So the self-directed part, I think I really like, is a lot of people don't even understand that can even happen. Like, how do I self-direct my retirement plan? It blew me away when I first heard about it. So explain that just a little bit of self-directing your retirement plan.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have different administrators. So you have like a Fidelity account, or you have a I'm going to forget, but Fidelity is one good example. Mm-hmm. They're considered an institutional administrator. And that institution can, one, create your Roth IRA account, and then they can manage it within the funds that they have to offer within Fidelity.
Now, how come I can't just manage it myself?
Well, you can, right? But you can only manage it within the Fidelity ecosphere.
Yeah.
And which is powerful, right? You have the ability to, invest it and put it into certain stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and that's fine and good. But I like, in in some scenarios, I like a little more control of what I'm investing in.
Definitely.
So when you're doing something self-directed, you can do something in a Fidelity account. You can do it in an E-Trade account. You can do it in a private LLC. You can put it into a piece of property,
Which is really exciting.
Which is really exciting,
Yeah.
right? I mean, and you can do it direct to that real estate deal. Now, you personally are not the owner of that property, and like we can talk about the legalities.
Yeah.
Again, remember, people, we are not attorneys.
Definitely.
And we're not giving tax or legal advice. Please consult somebody.
We're just talking about some cool concepts.
We're talking about cool concepts,
Yep.
and we ask the hard questions to those attorneys and CPAs in hopes that we can get answers that can go and help
Definitely.
us get deals done.
Definitely.
But at the end of the day, there's different nuances to going and getting a real estate deal done in a Roth IRA. You can take that $6,500 and let's call it $65,000. And so now we're coming in and we're putting $65,000 down on a $300,000 house.
Okay.
So we put about 20% down, and in that $65,000, that's already money that's already been taxed. We've invested in this $300,000 place, and so we have 80% that, where does that other money come from? Well, you can borrow it. And you can borrow it only if it is a non-recourse loan, meaning when somebody comes back and says, hey, this note is due, or you stopped making the payment for whatever reason, they can only take that property back. They can't come back to a guarantor outside of that specific entity, which is the Roth IRA and the $65,000 it had contributed, and the property itself, the asset that was inside of that Roth IRA.
Awesome.
If it is recourse, then it's disallowed.
Yeah.
You cannot do it.
So how does a Roth IRA that's self-directed purchase a house? I mean, they have to partner with somebody, right? Somebody's got a credit score.
So they can partner with somebody with a credit score, or they can get seller financing, or they can do it on a subject to deal, or they can go to the bank. And banking institutions, just as of recent, of the last 2 weeks, folks that I've talked to at different banks or credit unions, is non-recourse loans. They'll only finance up to 50% of that transaction.
Okay.
And it's just simply because of the current risk profile of our banking ecosphere. That's
There you
just
go.
what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And so that's where, you know, you come in and you bought this property, you have options subject to seller carry, institutional, but now it's how do I make that decision? You ask the question
Yeah.
of, okay, well, who's doing the deal, or who are you partnering with? And so me personally, I can manage those funds if they're being allocated to another fund. So if I'm buying a mutual fund with that Roth IRA, I can make that decision with those funds. Now, but I can't take compensation for having administrated those funds into the places I want them to be invested.
That's a good tip. Yeah.
Otherwise, again, you're a disallowed,
Yep.
Prohibited party, and you just don't want to mess with any of those rules. But let's talk about the way that it's powerful.
There you go.
So we buy this $300,000 house, we put 20% down, we found the non-recourse loan, everything's glorious, right? Well, now what I can do is I can turn around, I can flip that house. If that house is worth $330,000, well, guess what I just did? I sold it for $330,000. I had $65,000 in equity already, and let's exclude any other costs associated with selling that property. I just put $30,000 back on top of my $65,000. That's almost a 50% return, 45% roughly.
And that goes in tax-free, right?
That goes in tax-free. That $30,000 is now in addition. So I have $95,000 that I can now go and invest in the next property, or in the next retirement account, or
a gas station, or a convenience store, or a multiplex. I mean, there's all sorts of things you purchase. And what's great about I love what you said by owner carries. Most of the Roth or most of the self-directed IRAs that I have or that I've been able to participate in, it's always been with an owner carry. So just because it's easier. Somebody's got a gas station for sale and they want $100,000 down and they'll carry the rest. You can pull that $100,000 out of a self-directed IRA, give it to them as part of the down, and then you can also, like in that scenario, we went and bought a mobile home park, and I took 50 grand out of my IRA, and I created an LLC and partnered with my IRA. So my IRA is an entity. I have an LLC, it's an entity. We started an entity, and I can't remember what we called it, but it was his own LLC. This was the money partner, and I was the skill partner. And then, but the only thing is, our administrator said I had to have a disinterested non-third party to be a part of that LLC in order to make it legal. So I couldn't have like my wife be that third party, and they had to own at least 5%. But what's awesome about that is we went through, I was able to take a monthly income off of that, but when we turned around and sold it, we doubled our money from 50 to 100 grand right back into that retirement plan.
Wow.
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
It really is. It really is. And so here I want to throw this out, and maybe you could explain a little better, which I'm sure you can than I can. We've got somebody listening to this program right now. They have a retirement plan. They're like, man, I'd love to learn how to do that. What's their first step?
Well, their first step is, do you have earned income, right? Do I have money that I can actually contribute to a retirement plan? Yes, okay, great. Then you have a $6,500 allowance that you can go and put in that. Now, if you have 5 people in your family, which I did 5 days ago, and now I have 6.
That's right. Congratulations, by the way.
We're super excited.
That's awesome. I texted him, I was like, hey, we meeting on Monday? He sent a picture of his little baby. He's like, I don't think we should meet today. I'm like, no problem. Let's meet another time.
So now I can create 6 retirement accounts, right? Beautiful thing. And so how does somebody get started? Well, first of all, make some money, then go put it into a retirement account. And this cannot be your sole strategy, right?
Yes.
This is something that you're planning for the next 30, 50
Definitely.
years, right? If you're 30 right now, it'll take you 29 and a half years to ever take a draw out of this retirement account. And so you want to be careful, right? 59 and a half is when you get to start taking distributions from this retirement account, or you get tax penalized. So again, we're planning ahead. And I told somebody just on Wednesday, I said, you know what, this is about 10% of my strategy. 10% of my strategy means that I'm focused on a tax-free retirement in this one account, and the other 90% is focused on generating an income that pays the normal bills, that rolls into the next piece of property and generates a passive income, and that's the other part of my strategy. So this being, I know that 10% of my strategy in the Roth IRA is I'm going to go and create something that in 30 years, I'm getting closer than that. A few decades from now, then I'm going to be able to take a tax-free retirement from there. And I just made an investment in a friend's company with 5 of our Roth IRA accounts, and a nominal investment, but really cool projections. And at the end of the day, it's in alarm monitoring.
Oh, nice.
And
that's cool.
Yeah, and so I'm really excited because I've never been in that industry.
Yeah.
And it took a fair amount of research, but I also know this person really well and their success record. And but that isn't the only way to gauge investing in someone, right? All of this investment has its risk, right?
Yeah.
And when we got to the point of like, here's the disclosure of like, hey, we're making an investment. There's risk to investing, and you could lose some or all of your money.
Yep.
You have to pay attention to those details of like, okay, well, why would I lose my money, or how could I? And if this doesn't go right, am I comfortable with having lost X dollar amount? And that should just be said for anybody's decision to move forward on an investment is, yeah, there's risk, but you're able to move past that risk after you've done some due diligence. You have a good understanding of what you're investing in. And I've gone down a tangent of like, hey,
no, that's great.
Be cautious.
Yeah, definitely. We always want to be cautious with everything we do.
Yeah. Absolutely. But the Roth IRA strategy, again, is so powerful because now I can invest in anything if I've created this self-directed option.
Definitely.
And there's a half dozen options of self-directed Roth IRA administrators that...
Yep. There's one over in Boise I use, Mountain West IRA. I can't remember actually. It's Mountain West something. Mountain West Administration, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, and I use a group out of Arizona,
Yep.
Directed IRA. Mark Kohler, if you're
Yep.
familiar with him, I know you are.
Yep.
But he's created Directed IRA with with Matt Sorensen.
Yep, and that's just been the last couple of years. So if I ever do another one, I probably will go through them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And they're a sharp group. I just
They
got
are.
done, making this investment with them, and I'm really grateful for the questions that they were asking, and they've helped me make a solid decision from a direction of funds, and they're not necessarily giving me advice as to where I should invest that money, because I've taken that responsibility on myself because it's now self-directed.
They're just cautioning you on not to do something that's going to get you in trouble.
They are.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think, there's so much to this too. I mean, we could go a whole other episode just taking your health savings account and making that self-directed and going and investing that into something. I mean, there's so many things out there, and I don't know if the right word's nuances, but different ways of bringing down, because at the end of the day, we want to save money in taxes. I mean, that's really what it is.
Yeah.
And so if you have a business and you want to start a retirement plan, you can have a retirement plan. You can contribute to that retirement plan at $6,500 a month or a year, and that brings down your taxable income, which could help you get into a different tax bracket, which could help you do all sorts of different things because it's saving you money on this end. And then you take that and you go, invest it into some kind of a business or real estate or whatever, which could also create more income for you later on. I love how you threw it out there of, hey, this is a long-term strategy, it's not a short-term strategy. I'm closer to 59 and a half than you are. I just turned 50 this year. But what's awesome is I've got a friend who did this a while back, and he's got about $1 million in his IRA right now that he's done all through money lending and self-directing, and investing in different things. And he got a phone call because he's 70 years old. Actually, maybe not, it was an email, but he was told, hey, you've got to start taking more money out of your retirement plan. And he's like, what are you talking about? He says, because you're getting old. Like we want you to start taking more money out, because at the end of the day, we want this to be empty if you die or when you die. Mm-hmm. What an awesome phone call. That's what he goes, at first he was ticked off. He's like, what are you talking about? But then he's like, this is awesome. They just told me I got to take $2,000 more a month out of there. And if I keep growing it, I'm going to have to take even more. So he said, I'm being forced to take out tax-free money that I've built over the last 25 years. He said, how cool is that?
That's brilliant.
I know.
Well, I promised that I'd share an example of
Okay.
somebody.
Sorry, I got you off on a tangent.
No, you
also.
did absolutely awesome. So, and those are the perfect examples of like what can be created for somebody that's going into retirement or preparing for retirement. This, 70-year-old guy is, now living a little bit larger on the extra couple $1,000s a month. And what does that do for him, right? Can we take another vacation,
Definitely.
every 3 or 6 months and, be able to really take care of the family and not have to worry about any of the taxation? Such a cool thing. So another example of somebody doing something cool in their retirement account. So $6,500 sometimes doesn't seem like it's that much money, right? And how do I get that into real estate, or how do I get that to grow into something that's more significant to go and buy something? So an example of a friend, he put $1,000 down on 2 different condos, and his goal was to go vertical. And in 6 months from when he put the $1,000 option fee down, from his Roth IRA, he has now a commitment that, hey, you know what, when those properties are
finished,
done, then I get to go ahead and close on those.
And he probably got a price at that point, right?
He did.
Yeah.
Yep. So he had a committed price. I think it was, so for each unit, it was $400,000. So he puts the $1,000 down, gets the commitment. 5 months from then, those had gone up $50,000. And the builder comes back to him and says, I will pay you for your option to
not exercise it.
not exercise this option, right? So he takes $1,000 and he puts 15 plus the $1,000, so he put $16,000 back in his account 6 months later after he had just committed on the option of $1,000 a piece. So he goes
tax-free,
$2,000 to $32,000 in 6 months.
That's awesome.
So there are so many amazing ways to do this, and so somebody that's doing wholesale deals, or they're creating a retirement account. Let's say if somebody is doing 10 deals in a year wholesale, and 10% of their strategy is the Roth IRA. Do one option, or put earnest money down on one house a year, and now you've just created a wholesale deal that can come in and somebody can pay you 10 grand for your option to close on that property.
And then that money goes back into that retirement plan.
Goes back into that retirement account.
That's so awesome. So awesome. What a great, cool strategy. I'm so glad we decided to talk about it because there's so much more to this. If this is just like blowing your mind, which every time I talk about it, I just get excited about it. If this is something you're like, man, I'd love to learn more, we're actually going to do a masterclass next week. Reach out to us, Colter or myself, Jason Andrus, and let us know if you would like to get into that masterclass. It's going to go Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We're going to go a little bit deeper on how the mechanics work and how you can, just any normal everyday dude could help self-direct his property or self-direct his retirement and grow that tax-free.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I look forward to that again.
All right, I think our time's up, and so let's call it a show, and we'll see you on the next one.
Cool. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you, Colter.